Hello. Today's episode number 139 of the Professor Slots podcast discusses the monthly return statistics from 13 states. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Montana. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over my 5-spin method test update and bonus from my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Missouri slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Earlier this month, I successfully launched my first online course, 30 Days to Play Slots Smarter and Win. You can take it at a leisurely pace of 1 lesson per day or a lot faster. Yes, it can be completed in a day of a rather long day, but I recommend taking more time than that as you'll want to consider its assignments, tasks, and their concepts. Thanks to those who have already signed up to my 30 Days course, a beta version discounted by over 50% from its future regular price for the upcoming non-beta version arriving soon. Along with the course are valuable bonuses, especially getting lifetime access to the course. Purchasing the beta version now gets you full access to the non-beta updated versions later at a $100 savings. The link for signing up for the course is in the description of this podcast episode, or go directly to courses.professorslots.com. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. Hello, slots enthusiasts. Today I'm going to be diving right into the topic, which is going to be return statistics, state-by-state return statistics. About this year, I have done 4 states, Florida, Mississippi, New Jersey, Indiana. But what I've done today is I've updated those so that you can see what's been going on in 2021, whatever the most recent report is as of this morning. But one of the interesting things that happened on the Indiana presentation that I gave in a live stream a few weeks ago was there was, I showed all the previous 3 along with Indiana, and that worked out to be pretty well. If anybody has a problem hearing me, please let me know. Lots of chat messages. But so I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more. 9 more return states, return statistics, but I didn't do a deep analysis because it was taking too long. So what I decided to do was get the statewide numbers for all slots in that state by month. And even if it had, by slot machine denomination, I wanted to give you an idea of how these states work, had their return statistics set up. And it's very interesting, at least it is to me, and I hope it is to you. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of these. There's about 5 more states where I couldn't get the data together fast enough. They didn't have statewide. They just had their 25 casinos individually, and it takes a while to type all this in. So I wasn't able to complete those, and I'll talk about those in another time. But we've got these 13, and that's going to be, I think, fascinating. So there has been already, as I like to recognize people here, there has already been 1 donation, and let's try that again. Okay. So there is there was a donation from Magpie 11. Thank you so much. They say, I am working through the course and really thinking about how to prep for a slot strip. Excellent. And they thank me. That's wonderful. And we've got a bunch of people also. When I look over here, I'm kind of looking at the live chat and seeing how things are going. I try to limit how much I do that. So thank you so much. I had things, I appreciate Ohio Slots Brothers. It can hear me great. That's wonderful. I always get a little concerned about that. The first year, there's a couple things that happened, technical issues. Okay, so when I went over, I'm going to share my screen for you and kind of get you caught up. You may not have been here. I'm getting new subscribers, new people coming to this the live streams every week. And so I don't want to assume that you've seen prior live streams. The live streams are very much a community-based presentation, and they're hard to watch after. But during, it's all, you never know quite what's going to happen. So let me share with you my screen. So this is my website. And if you go to this is what it looks like on a computer. And looks a little bit differently. These menus here are all sort of shrunk into a bunch of different lines, and you have to sort of open it. But if you go to here, you'll find a summary article for my weekly reviews of every state. I don't do every state weekly. I do one state per week, and it takes me about 13 months to get through all the different states. And I'll show you an example of those. But I also have a summary article that has like a brief introduction to each. I'm on my fourth time through, and around Missouri, the fourth time through. I think the next one's Montana. And if we have anybody from Montana, that's awesome. So I'm going to show you the summary article because we're going to be jumping around a little bit here. So this is my online resource for you that I've been putting together all these articles. And basically it's also this list here is all my Facebook groups that you can go to. And I showed you, it's professorslots.com/online-resource, or you can just easily find it on the webpage the way I just did. But these are the Facebook groups that you can join. I can't go to every casino. It would take me 10 years if I did 2 a week. 10 years to do 2 a week. So that's not soon enough. I get a lot of questions from people. Hey, does your five pull, 5 spin strategy work at my casino? And I'm like, well, go ask, in your state Facebook group, go ask and see if somebody who goes to your casino has tested for it. And so that's how I'm trying to get everybody what they need. Okay. So then I have 56 articles, and that's because I'm including the territories. But we're going to go to, let's see, Florida first here. Scroll on down to Florida and open that window, and you shall see my Florida article. So how this is set up is to have an introduction. I put in the video that I make for it so you can watch it instead if you want to. It's maybe 8 minutes long, 4 minutes long. But I also have it in every episode of my podcast, which this will become one. And after the live stream audio is presented to you in the live stream, I also do one or two of the states. And so this one was shown with District of Columbia on episode 123. Okay, so the different sections here, just to get everybody up to speed. This is some of the gambling laws, shorter or longer, and try to include legal age of gambling, whether or not you can own a private slot machine, and some information on the gaming control board. Like sometimes there's several, and some tribal, some state. Then you have the casinos. I make a full list of whether they're commercial or tribal, and links to each. Provide a map. Links to my articles on surrounding states, neighboring states, and the Facebook community I was telling you about. And this is the payout and return section just above the summary. So the payout and return section, whenever I write this article, I go check the return statistics for that month, and I put them up here for you. And when I last did this, it was October last year. But I've recently gone in and done this. But what I want to point out here, the point of all this on every one of these is there is a link to the return statistics at the State Gaming Commission or wherever they are going to be at. So you can go to Florida, you can get the slots revenues, and there's fiscal years, basically the middle of one year to the middle of the next year. So the slot revenues from middle of 2020 to the middle of 2021, you can open that, and it's going to be basically a PDF. Now, Right. And by the way, ask your slots related questions. I'll get to that in a moment. One of the things that I like to do is present on a topic and then take questions. So give it some time. Okay. So this is each of the Florida provides return statistics for commercial casinos, not tribal casinos. So no Hard Rock Tampa in here, but these are in Broward and Miami-Dade counties. And there's, I think, 8 or so. And what I did was I took all these numbers, and sometimes you have to write down the credits in and the credits out, and then you have to divide them in order to be able to get the return statistics. And this is what I had shown previously. So when I did that, I put the link in here, I believe. So we're almost caught up. And so I wrote an article in February, early February, about our Florida casinos, commercial casinos cheating you. And kind of what happened. This is the question, right? What happened after the pandemic? Did they try to get their money back for having been closed for a while? And Florida, was interestingly enough, also provides in the return statistics their promotional dollars. So did they cut back on free play? So this is where I put this report, and I have a live stream on it as well as the 3 others that I've done, but it was taking too much time. It's been like 3 months and I was able to do 4 of them. Oh, always like to recognize donations. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck joined late today. Welcome to the club. I think I was ready for the show today about 2 minutes beforehand, 2.5 minutes. Anyway, so these are the casinos, the 8 casinos, and I started doing some graphs. And I've shown you these before where individual casinos will definitely set their return statistics and generally be high or generally be low. And you can see the lack of information there on the left is because that's when they were closed, which is, of course, very rare occurrence. But I found that if you sum them all and get a statewide number, you begin to see trends. So in this gap was when they closed. And then immediately afterwards, in the months afterwards, they dropped return statistics across the board and on average for the state, but then they seem to recover. Now, I did, at the time, only up till December was available. And I wanted, based on my 4th one, Indiana, I wanted to show you what's been happening this year. So I have updated this. And so that's part of what I wanted to do. Now, let me go find this. Right. So let me try that. Right. Okay. So this is from the beginning of January, the data, the return statistics, a win percent, not the hold percent, the win percent, how much you would win percentage-wise on average for the state for that month, even if there was individual casinos that had these individual numbers. I'm not showing them here. And if you also, if they had individual slot machine denominations, it's the total. So there's more to be done, but I wanted to, it's taking too long. So I wanted to do them all, or as many as I possibly could today, and just give you the highlights. So we'll do that. Now, this is Florida. I have some missing data from 2019. I tried to get that this morning, and it was going very slow, so I don't have that for you right now. But you can see over on the graph that this is kind of what happened. This is the percent. It's 92% over here. I wonder if I can fix this for you. Maybe. Format axis. Let's see if I can display units. Nope. Let's try number, general, percentage. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's a little better. So now the return statistics for Florida basically range between 91.3% and 92.4%. And there was this gap here. And then we have immediately after the first month they reopened in June, 2020. They were pretty level with what they had done the last month they were open, March 2020. But then they took a big dive on the return statistics. And I know it's only like 1 percentage point, but that's far more than the variation they'd shown month to month for a while. So since that abrupt get money back period in a couple months after the pandemic and after they closed due to the pandemic, then they sort of leveled out like usual, but then they obviously made a decision to drop. And this is, I think the last data point that I had before was somewhere around here, but they have definitely lowered things for this is January, February, March. Now, March has climbed back up a little bit. April's not available yet for Florida. So they definitely did something here to kind of take your money. But what happens if I go on over to here and take a look at Mississippi, another state that we'd done, but I didn't have the most recent numbers. What I'm trying to make a point about is what's been happening in 2021. And all it's doing is dropping, all right? The last one in Florida picked up a little bit, but before that, January, February, dropped. And here we've got January was a high, then it's been dropping ever since in Mississippi. What about New Jersey? So that one has April also available. So this over here is before the pandemic. And they had some things going on at the end of 2018 where a bunch of two casinos reopened and there was some things going on. But then they were fairly steady for a while. And then the pandemic happened. And now they've been very low. And since this is December, and since December, really since November last year, they've dropped, but they did increase a little bit in April. So if you gamble in any of these states, let's take a look at the next one. Individually, each one of these analyses needs more of an analysis. So this is Indiana. It's very similar to New Jersey. Drop, and came up just a little bit in April. Let's check it again. I mean, at this point, we could call this a trend. And I'll show you all of them in a moment, but let's just look at them individually. Yeah, right. Here's the trend. Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, and that's January again, and it's just been dropping. They have April available, and April is also still dropping. So do a few more here. I promise to get to your state if it has on this list. And soon. And yes, okay, Massachusetts, again, dropping. What about Pennsylvania? Got a guess on what's going to happen in Pennsylvania? It had a high month, March. April dropped, but not as low as it had been in February. Okay, all right. Louisiana. Now, they don't have return statistics for February, March, or April because they hold off on doing that several months. So it shows an uptick for January, but we don't know what happened in the months after that. Let's take a look at Nevada, the big guy. Just look at the level of control that they have. You'll see something interesting about Nevada when I show you all of these together, but look how they're fairly steady, and that before the pandemic, they had this really low return in the last month they were open. In the first month that they were open, which was a partial month, they were high as they've been in 2 years since beginning of 2019. But they basically within half a percentage point, maybe 1 full percentage point. They've been back and forth. And March was low as it's been since they reopened. What else? You got a trip to Las Vegas coming up? I mean, these are general numbers. You can check for the Strip versus downtown with Nevada. They're very thorough, but that's the statewide. And we've got now Colorado, all of them, and they've been dropping since January, but in November, they were particularly low. And then in January, they hit a high for this year, and they've been dropping since then. And their latest is February. So 3 more to go before I start giving you more of a summary. Now we have here Connecticut. Someone says in the comments, what we're learning is all casinos are tending to take your money. No, we're not. Connecticut has dropped, less than a 0.5%. They went from basically 91.7, well, call it 91.8 to 91.5, 0.3%. And that's hard to even feel if you're in the casino. So they're not doing it. But the suspicion people have is that they're being cheated, but the facts don't always line up. Several states are jumping back up in April. Some haven't yet done that, but if we can keep track, that's well worth doing. Okay, so now we've got Delaware, who is kind of within a band of 0.4%. And that's maybe a touch lower than it was before the pandemic, but that's not too bad. It's kind of like looking for a slot machine that you want to play. You want to avoid the worst ones, the ones that are, it's very hard to find the great ones. I talk about in my course how to do that, but it's not a short conversation. But we can more easily avoid the ones that are just terrible. So this isn't really about going to the state that has the best returns. Well, it might be if you're interested in making a living off of slots. This is the sort of thing you have to keep an eye on if you want to do that, if you're flexible about where you're going to live. But we can avoid the worst, and that's in itself valuable. Okay, so Illinois, last one. Maybe not Illinois. Well, they did have a little uptick in April. But on the other hand, in November, and I think they had a closing in December where they had to close. There wasn't any data available. So I think they might have had to close for, again, that month. But they were reducing their returns for a year and 2 months before the pandemic. And since then, they've been raising it, but now again, they're dropping it. So, this is a time where you're like, this is when you go. This is not where you go, but then it's coming back up. And the more recently the return statistics are available, the better. That Louisiana waits 3 months, and Ohio, where I live, waits 4 months. That can be a bit of that. Now, I'm getting questions about what haven't I done? There are 17 states. There was 18. Now there's 17. They make changes. And there's only 4 more that I haven't done. I haven't done New York, Rhode Island, Kentucky, Ohio. Kentucky has historic horse racing, and they're not slot machines. They're pari-mutuel. They're based on historic horse races, many horse races on each bet that you make. And there could be 30 races that result in the outcome of your HHR game. And if I only mentioned Kentucky because it's one of those approaches to gambling which could spread, and they plan to spread. Some states don't allow slot machines. Kentucky doesn't allow slot machines, but they do allow pari-mutuel racing. And so these historic horse racing games are based on gaming regulations, which are entirely about pari-mutuel racing. So, they don't have slot machine regulations. They have pari-mutuel regulations. So there's a lot of states that don't allow slot machines, but do allow pari-mutuel racing. And these companies that have HHR machines are trying to expand, and they're using Kentucky as a test case. There are others. But someone asked about West Virginia, trying to keep an eye on things. On the chat, somebody asked about West Virginia. They don't have return statistics, and a lot of states don't. But even if your state doesn't have return statistics, you begin to get an idea, particularly with the 6 states that have slot machine denomination return statistics, then you can begin to get an idea about, and I've mentioned this before in past episodes, that every one of them, except, out of 50 cities and casinos that might be on with slot denomination return statistics, there might be one of those where penny slots isn't the worst. So these trends, there are things to be learned. If it's not on this list, and I'll try to show all of them, okay? Florida, Mississippi, New Jersey, Indiana, Iowa, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Louisiana, Nevada, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, New York, Rhode Island, Kentucky, Ohio. That's the full list. If you're one of those states that's not on this list, you don't have monthly return statistics. Now, there are some yet that have annual return statistics. They will say what the year would be. Whereas Deadwood, is it South Dakota or North Dakota? I think it's South Dakota. They have an annual return, and it's like from 2 years ago. So it would be like 2019, might be out now, but probably 2018. And that's the annual, and it doesn't really fit into this monthly plot. So let's go to the thing I really want to show you before I go check on some questions, which is, let me take this over here. And we noticed this with Indiana. Remember Indiana last time we had this graph and we showed multiple different states. We had only four states: Florida, Mississippi, New Jersey, Indiana. And Indiana was right along the bottom as far as return statistics, the lowest. Let's see if Indiana keeps its last place. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing all of them. This is what you'll see. All right. Hopefully you've got not using a phone, because you might need to take a look here. Let me get rid of this blocking here. All right. So this is set up to be basically the lowest return statistics is 90%. There's a couple here. I think Indiana is 89.9, but let's say it starts at 90%. And then it goes to 94%, about a 4% range. There's a couple of things that are happening with Nevada here, just when they came back to being open, and Connecticut did something at its 2 casinos when they came back. Sometimes you can get some odd results if you're only open a couple of days of the month. And I think that's kind of what's going on there. But maybe you're there, and so just this month, just before everybody closed, and this month where everybody opened again, and some opened later, like New York opened later. Okay, right. Okay, so right there, this one, it's kind of brownish. It's this one here. It's also right here. Nevada hovers around 93% statewide. And the average after the pandemic is higher statewide. This is not telling you what's going on in the Strip separately from downtown. You could actually do this for that, and I might do that sometime later, but this is statewide, and statewide the returns went up. Not by much, but if this is half a point, from there, half a point is significant. It matters. Now, what's the lowest? This kind of golden one is Indiana, and they got beat out. Iowa was a little lower in December last year. Otherwise, they've been maintaining the lowest. That wasn't quite the case in before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, they were really kind of tied with Louisiana, Iowa, Indiana. They were all kind of bunched in together here. And then there was some stuff going on with Pennsylvania in the early days. In the first half of 2019, they made some changes since then. So Pennsylvania is now kind of in the middle of the pack over here. They went up. after the pandemic. And they even went up after this mid-2019 thing. They've been having a lot of things going on. Each of the last 2 years, they've opened a casino resort. And now they have a slots parlor and 2 casino resorts, and they're working on maybe giving the license for the 3rd casino resort they're allowed to have. Anyway, all that's in my articles that you can see. And this is where I will leave this up so you can take a look at it. And if you have particular questions about which are the states, my apologies for not getting the last 4 done. It was going to take just a whole day to do one of those, and I ran out of time for today. Okay, so before I get into the Q&A questions, I have not been able to show you a picture of my cats. And you have seen Rudy, black and white. He's the older one. You have seen Emmett, black and white, younger one. And I don't think they're over here at the moment. They took off when I started recording. But you've only heard Curie growl when I tried to pick her up and show her to you. This was last year, I think. And so I have a photo that I wanted to share with you of Curie. Mary Curie. And this is a photo that I took this morning. One of them is a cat. That's Curie. She's indoors. One of them is outdoors, and it's a muskrat. Standing up, looking into the one-way glass. It's a mirror, one-way mirror. Looking in, possibly looking at himself, but or he or she is so close to the mirror you might be able to see inside, but it's a one-way mirror. And I thought you might like to see a picture of my cat. That was this morning. It's been a crazy week, so I will put that away for you, and I'll check in with the live chat. My goodness. Right. So what have I missed here? And welcome everybody who's here. Yes. So back to the top of the live chat. Yep. Texas Tootsie had lost yesterday at Delta Downs. I got an email about that, but she had some previous successes. Leslie from Oregon asks, has anyone noticed carousels of 3 or 4 machines? That blows the theory of playing end of the row machines. Well, I'm making the end of the row description kind of general use, because we often talk about row and there's fewer carousels. If you're on a carousel, there's something very equivalent. If you're on a carousel, and let's say the carousel is at the front of the casino, right? Common. Play the machine which is facing the entrance. Now, if right next to it is, like at my local casino, there's a bunch of velvet ropes for the lines where people wait to get to the promotions counter, play the slot machine that's facing that. Where are the people at? Now, there's also on the other side of the slot of the carousel where people are leaving, and they see the one on that side. So if you've got a carousel that might have like 6 machines, there's 2 or 3 that would be like the end of the row. I don't say that because it's takes me 3 minutes and people just want to know. So end of row works, but the carousel where you look to see if it's pointing at people, stand in front of it, turn around with it behind you, and look where it's looking. And that's what you're looking for, people. Okay. Let's see here. Next questions. Hi, Billy. Welcome. Good morning from Afghanistan. How come I think it's not morning in Afghanistan right now? And let's see if people are saying hello to each other. That's wonderful. Let's see. Steve says, it's talking to Leslie. Good. And hello, everybody. Everybody's saying hello, and Great. Let's see. Let's see. One of the states that Steve asks about what's going on in Ohio, and one of the things is that's one of the states I didn't do the statistics for. It's two different gaming groups. I have the data. We can. Steve, which casino? Can you type it into the live chat? I have the data. Let's see here. Right. So if I go to here, I have data. We can take a look, jump into that. Where did I put all that? Here it is. So in Ohio, 2021. So in Ohio, I've got all of the PDFs downloaded. Looks like fiscal year 2021 is here. This is for MGM. This one is for Miami Valley Gaming. And there's 4 casinos, but 7 slots parlors. So we have to look up which one. If you can share, Steve, did you share? I'm not seeing Steve, but yeah, you can look it up yourself later. I downloaded those this morning. Okay, so getting back to Steve, or rather, getting back to where I was. Oh, Steve says MGM. Okay, he had already said that. So if we go to MGM for 2021, we've got April is here. And the returns are percent payout is this column right here. And most recent one is April. Let me see if I can highlight it. Okay. 90.7. That's up from the previous 2 months, but down from January and certainly down from December. And so there's no real indication that it's changed by much, but this is the average for MGM. And the question becomes, somebody's winning. So you might want to try a different time of the day, different day of the week, and consider whether, should be weekends or weekdays. It's not dropped too much. It's over 90%. And of course, that is the average. Whoops. It would help if I did that. Right. So this is MGM. This is April this year, March, February, January, and they're all over 90%. And that's the sort of thing you look at. I don't see anything terrible about it, but every one of these states could have a deeper analysis, like I did for the first four states. Sometimes return statistics include how much free stuff they give away, the dollar value of the free stuff they give away, and we've seen that just tank, where the win percent changed a little bit, but now there's no free stuff, and that can matter. So I hope that helps a little bit for you. He also does downtown Cleveland and others, but you can check out those as well. Moving on, however, let's see, Scioto Downs, that's also available. That's a different file. Yeah, there is a lot of information, and it's just general numbers. If a deeper analysis is necessary, particularly of those states that have slot machine denomination return statistics, to look at some of this. But this live stream is about this graph, where Nevada's at the top, Indiana basically at the bottom, and everybody else is kind of in between. As I've mentioned in the past, that casinos are so consistent. Like, look at Indiana. That's a sign of control. They are there, and they want to be there. They want to be last. They want to take the most from people relative to other states. Now, I'm interested. Well, we still have like 4 more to go that I'll need to do. And one of them is Kentucky. And Kentucky is going through some stuff where they don't think they're getting, the state legislature doesn't think they're getting enough money from casinos. And if they decide, and they delayed doing that earlier this year, I think they put it off to like next year, early next year. The state wants to get more taxes. And if that does happen, it probably will, because the numbers are very low compared to other states, then those casinos are going to have to get that money from somewhere. And that means that it's likely to see a drop in the return statistics. And that's all going to be fascinating in the next year. And this is the sort of thing, I know it may not matter to you or you or you or you, but somebody here, it's like in the live chat where people are like, I'm in Ohio, tell me more. And the Ohio people are talking. This is why I have the Facebook group state by state. Talk to each other about what's going on. Get to know your casino. Get to know your state. Learn everything you can. And some of this stuff is going to start popping out. I'm trying to do a general overview for the state. That's the topic of this live stream, is of the country, trying to show what the country range is. But the prior 4, Florida, Mississippi, New Jersey, Indiana, were about that state. And kind of what are they doing and what is each casino doing? Because again, these are the averages. And I could just have the whole thing just covered in points and we wouldn't be able to read anything from it. But this is the value of a graph. So more questions, I think. And I think there's a bunch of them. So we've got about 20 minutes left. I think I'll spend a lot of the rest of my time, and I'm going to tuck that away. Well, I guess I'll leave it up for a little while. So lots of conversations. Michael Glassy says, phew, barely remembered to ignore my casinos on Memorial Day. One of my strategies, in case you didn't know, is to come the morning after a holiday. But holidays are an opportunity for the casino to make money. I always feel that way when they want me to be there. I'm always suspicious. Why do you want me to be there? And so many other people. Right. Let's see what else we've got here. Questions. People saying hello. How was your day? Sup, Chuck? I'll be asking Chuck that question tomorrow. Okay, so lots and lots of back and forth. And let's see. We are learning that a lot of casinos are in the beginning of January. That's the beginning of January. We're seeing that some casinos are staying straight. Some are going up. 4 casinos right here staying level. That's Connecticut, Illinois. What's this green one? Massachusetts and Mississippi. They're all kind of in a band right here, and they haven't gone down much. A little bit down in Pennsylvania, but otherwise fairly steady. New Jersey, fairly steady. Be careful not to be biased. Be careful not to say, I expect everybody's trying to take my money, therefore that's what you think. We're not seeing that. We're seeing that in Nevada in the most recent month. Not so much in Colorado. It's improving in Florida. Just to go through these one by one, Delaware is improving for this last month. Illinois and Illinois and Massachusetts have been pretty solid. And then Mississippi went down a little bit, but Connecticut stayed pretty solid. A little bit down in Pennsylvania, a little bit up in New Jersey, a little bit down in Iowa, and pretty much the same thing in Indiana. So all this other stuff is past. Closing for the pandemic is past, we hope. Prior to 2019 is just what we call a baseline. So in the most recent month's return statistics, yeah, it looks not too bad. We're seeing a big drop in Mississippi, Nevada. That's the biggest 2 drops. Otherwise, they're pretty flat. And we got a little uptick with Delaware and a little uptick with Florida. Very little uptick with New Jersey. And that's what we see in the data. No opinions. This is data. This is from the state. Right. So let's see. Okay. We have back and forth. Which casinos in Indiana? This is the question is which casinos in Indiana? This is a state summary. If you want to look at the article for, let's see here. So if I back this up to state by state, I go to Indiana. I think I put the link into the Indiana report, and we go to the bottom. Let's take a look at that. And I'll briefly, there's the most recent live stream on this topic. No, I don't have it there. Indiana return to player. Indiana. Oop, I misspelled it. This. Oh. What's wrong with my spelling today? Okay. Indiana. And I'll briefly show you a chart, which is the casinos in Indiana. French Lick is across the top and Tropicana across the bottom. Anyway, you can read that article and you take a closer look at it. And I think I'm caught up on. The live chat. What a busy day. So I also wanted to show you what's going on with my course. So I have an online course. I've successfully launched my first online course, 30 Days to Play Slots Smarter and Win. You can take it at a leisurely pace of 1 lesson per day or a lot faster. My apologies for those of you in the live chat right now and watching later in the podcast that are already signed up for this. But I wanted to mention that you can complete it in a day if it's rather a long day, and I recommend taking more time than that. So you may want to consider some of the assignments, tasks, and concepts. So this is available at courses.professorslots.com. And I will take this link and put it into the live chat, and it'll be available. Also, be careful clicking on this before I put it in there. It might take you out of the live chat if you're not careful. But I'll also put it in the description for the podcast episode as well as for us for the podcast and video. So the description here, this is the price. This is the beta version, and I am working on updating it. I'm not making the updates live. I'll do that all in one day. Should be in about a month. And at the same time, the price is going to double. So if you want to get the $100 savings, then sign up before I do that, before too much more time goes by. And you will get lifetime access to the course. So if you buy the beta version, you will get the non-beta version once I make that update with the $100 savings. You also get a PDF copy of my book and the gambling record templates that I provide for 2021, and then the lifetime access for all future versions. If you look at the course curriculum, which is available here, you can expand it and see what the topics are. The lessons aren't included. I mean, you can't look at the videos that go with day one, nor the tasks and resources and the course bonus. I think the first one's the book. The second one's the templates, gambling record templates. But then there's day two. It has its own tasks, resources, and there's a quiz. It's meant to be fairly easy, but it is going to take some time. Some of this stuff is, we're all self-taught at slot machines. Well, we were, not so much anymore. I'm trying to make that change to help people. So here's the second section going over the basics, day 3 through day 7, and then developing your plan with its own lessons, how to win at slots, slot strategies, and then what to do after you've got all this done. Like Magpie 11 was saying earlier on, how about putting together a plan on next casino visit and being a little more deliberate about it. Okay, so am I missing any new comments? All right, I think I'm kind of caught up with that. Was there anything else I wanted to see? I think that's fairly well. Go ahead. I think that's about what I wanted to cover. I wasn't sure that I would be able to get through everything, and maybe I talked too fast, but I did get through everything. Okay. Let me put this away, I think, just for entertainment value for those of you who might have missed it. This is the character of my cat as of this morning. She is very protective, very loving, and she is the one that notices things first. The two gentleman cats, both black and white. Let me put that away, I think. Right. They are less protective, a little less aware of what's going on. But the calico is smart. And we had a visitor on the deck, myself and my 3 cats had a visitor on the deck, and it just stood up there. I was just lucky to get a photo of it. Anyway, how's your day going? My cat's days are going like, what's going on? We have visitors. So let's see if you guys have any questions, any other questions for me in the live chat. We've got 10 minutes to go, and Magpie says, I had 2 hand pays at Caesars High Limit Room a couple of Fridays ago using the 5-pull method. That's great. Kissy Cat says, I like the small casinos in Vegas. El Cortez downtown has loose slots. Elvis Machine at Casino Royale on the Strip always pays. What else do we have? So yeah, there's some questions about bingo games, and there is one casino near me, and by near I mean about 400 miles away, that has them, but I haven't gotten to them. I went to a tribal casino on Mother's Day. Was that 3 weeks ago? And I didn't see any. Didn't look everywhere, but Michigan pretty much has. I've never seen a bingo machine in Michigan, but Colton, thank you for the donation. So the question is, will changing your bingo card affect your winnings per spin? It's more of a long-term strategy. You're looking for a bingo card that has various patterns on it. And I don't have an article on this, but I'm learning enough about it. You're looking for the pattern. You want the pattern to complete. So it's not really winnings per spin. It's like, I have 9 strategies at this point, and some will combine with others, but mostly you learn one and then you learn the other, then you learn the other. And only after you each do you start combining it, and it comes very naturally. The bingo card, changing the bingo card to something that's a better bingo card that you then play for a while is the winning strategy on bingo cards. Does the 5-pull method work on any bingo card? Try it. Let me know. Certainly that's something I'm going to do the first time I sit down at one. At 4 Winds, South Bend, Indiana. That's the one that's about 400 miles away that I want to get to and take back roads and whatever to get over there and do that. So I've got more and more trips planned. Had one, another tomorrow, set up airfare for Louisiana trip next month. And I'll try to report out on those. But yeah, I'm hitting the casinos rather than just visiting during quiet times at my local casino, Miami Valley Gaming. Now I'm getting out there and I'm trying to answer questions. So we'll get into it. Some of the stuff that's like Washington, I'd love to get out to the state of Washington because they have their slot machines are based on the state lottery, but they are unique in that they are based on the scratch ticket lottery. They made them all digital, virtual, and that was interesting. Velvet Duke asks a question. I think that might be related to what I was just saying. Right. Is a slot based on bingo card processed through an RNG, or is it predetermined like scratch ticket slots? The bingo card is based on an active or historic bingo game. You know, the bin and the balls and the hurting the handle, that's a random process. That's not an RNG. Now, is there an RNG that takes those answers and provides the game results? I suspect so. And like historic horse racing, where they take a bunch of results, and it's really needs to be kind of like pieced together. And I don't like to speculate on something that I haven't researched. And the only reason I haven't researched this is because it's not nearby. I need to do that. So it is something that's coming. I apologize to everybody who is in Oklahoma that would very much like me to do that. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Yes. You can find slot machines that are your favorites if they move them, because there's two numbers on a slot machine, usually put on with a sticker, right? And one number is the unique identifier. So slot machine employees, casino employees, can find that machine and know it's the one they're supposed to do the thing to, you know, the bad fan or whatever. And they need to be able to identify them without, like, you know, getting around back or something. So they have this little sticker with some numbers on it. And they also have another one, which is the location. Have you ever worked in a factory in column row, right? Q31, double A 42, you know, it's a coordinate. And it's the physical location. So they might remove the position of the slot machine, the sticker, when they move it, but the unique identifier will stay. And the one that gets put into its place will have the new position number, but it has its own identifier. And I haven't, there's plenty of things I haven't done. I'm not trying to say that I'm have figured everything out. One of the things I want to do is particularly the new stuff as it comes out. I've got a lot of this sorted, but there's some new stuff. And one of them is, if I walk up to a slot attendant at a casino, how often, you know, 1 out of 10, 8 out of 10 casinos, will they be able to tell me the location of a slot machine by that unique number? Does the casino give that employee access? I mean, I've asked them questions. You know, this is how far I've gotten. I've asked them questions. I said, I went to Harrah's, North Kansas City, and I said, I would like to find your nickel machines. I know that you have 8. It's in the return statistics. I know you have 8 of them that are nickel machines, and would you please take me to them? And they were kind enough to point out that their kiosks, I mean, this is what you learn, right? Their kiosk at Harrah's, it's a Riverboat Casino, North Kansas City, has a kiosk which has a map, much like WinStar, where it says, this is the casino, the slot machines we have, and if you want to know where they are, then click here. And WinStar, I think, is a little better because you can do it on your phone instead of a kiosk, and it'll actually say, turn right, turn, you know, it's like just having it's like Google Maps, you know, walk this way, walk that way, turn now. But Harrah's, North Kansas City, you could find that machine. And that's the sort of thing where I'm like, but if I were to ask for the unique identifier, to be certain that I found the machine they used to have in one spot and they moved it, will a slot attendant be able to handle that kind of a question? So there's always more to ask. Okay. Questions. Yes, when they move them, the position number gets changed, but the unique identifier does not. So see if your machines, that's the casinos I've been to, I've looked for these, and they have two machines. They have two numbers on the ones that I've been to. But again, it's going to take me 10 years if I go to 2 casinos a week to get to all the different casinos. So you tell me what's going on at your casino, but I've seen 2 numbers, and one of them has changed. Well, okay, so there's lots of different ways to talk about these things, and that's why my course says, and from here, you have this much information, and now we proceed with your first steps to improvement at the end of the course. Steve says, but John, if the machine is controlled central computer, it wouldn't matter, right? The old location where it used to be should have the winning machine at it, right? That's right. If the end of row, that position in the carousel, I've gone to my local casino, they've moved out machines, and the replacement was also a winner because it wasn't the machine, it was the position. However, a lot of people like their chosen game, and they will go everywhere in the country and play that game. They will look for it and play it, or they attach the winning they've done to that game because they've attached the winning they've done in a different state to that particular game. That's not my position. That is not my philosophy. I was just being interviewed by someone. It's not come out yet, so I wasn't going to give you a link or anything just yet. And when it comes out, if it comes out, should come out, I'll let you know. There's a gentleman called Jimmy the Greek, big time poker player, more like the 1970s. And one piece of advice he had for fellow poker players was, don't play poker, play the other player. And my philosophy is similar to that. Don't play the slot machine, play the casino. Okay, with that, we are looking at out of time. And I want to thank you all for being here. Have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here, I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Montana slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Here goes. Montana slot machine casino gambling consists of 8 tribal casinos with Class 2 and Class 3 gaming machines, along with video gaming machines VGMs at bars, taverns, and other retailers with an alcohol license. The minimum legal gambling age in Montana does not depend upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, poker rooms, bingo, the lottery, and pari-mutuel wagering, it's all 18. Commercial businesses must have an alcoholic beverages license to have up to 20 video gaming machines, VGMs. Most retailers are bars and taverns, but may also be a laundromat, truck stops, and other small businesses. The maximum bet on VGMs is $2, while the maximum payout is $800. Montana collects a 15% tax on business income from retailers for their video gaming machines. Each state tribal gaming compact describes how many machines each tribal casino can offer, whether they have Class 2 bingo-style games of skill or Class 3 Vegas-style games of chance gaming machines, and the maximum bet along with maximum award limits. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. Slot machines can be owned in Montana privately if they're at least 30 years old. Montana's Gaming Control Board is its gambling control division within the Montana Department of Justice. Further, Montana has a Gaming Advisory Council, GAC, which also reports to the Justice Department. The GAC advises the state legislature on public policy matters related to gaming every 2 years with its fiscal year 2019 to 2020 biennial report. As a resource, the Montana Department of Justice also maintains an interesting history of gambling in Montana. In this section, I'll discuss Montana gambling establishments. There are 8 American Indian tribal casinos and more than 1,400 bars, taverns, and other retailers with a liquor license, offering more than 16,000 video gaming machines in Montana. The largest casino in Montana is Grey Wolf Peak Casino. The second largest casino is Glacier Peaks Hotel and Casino. Each licensed commercial retailer with video gaming machines can have up to a maximum of 20 such machines, although some may have only a single video gaming machine. Montana has 8 tribal casinos. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with a casino map are on my webpage for this state at professorslots.com/mt. As an alternative to enjoying Montana slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Montana is, to the north, the Canadian provinces of Alberta, British Columbia, and Saskatchewan. To the east, North Dakota and South Dakota. To the south, Wyoming. And to the west, Idaho. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com, followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my North Dakota slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/nd. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Montana? If so, join our Montana slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBMT. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Montana. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBMT. Join us. VGMs in Montana's bars and taverns have a minimum theoretical payout limit of 80% for video slot machines, video bingo, video keno, and video poker. Further, video slot machines have a maximum theoretical payout of 92%. No limits on return statistics have been set for Montana's tribes, with one slight exception. The Chippewa Cree tribe of the Rocky Boys Indian Reservation have their negotiated tribal state compact, which states that slot machines designed and developed for exclusive use by the tribe do not have legal minimum and maximum payout return limits. However, game themes used in other gaming jurisdictions must have the same maximum theoretical payout return limit of 92% for video slots in Montana's commercial bars and taverns. Actual return statistics for gaming machines in Montana, whether commercial or tribal, are not publicly available. In summary, Montana slot machine casino gambling consists of 8 tribal casinos in addition to over 1,400 small business retailers collectively having more than 16,000 video slots, video keno, video bingo, and video poker gaming machines. Over the last year, there has been little change to the slots gaming industry in Montana. You can now purchase and get immediate access to my first online course, 30 Days to Play Slots Smarter and Win, which can be completed at a leisurely pace of 1 lesson per day, or if you want to be less leisurely, a whole lot faster. Yet it can be completed in a day, if a rather long day, but I seriously advise taking the course a bit slower than that to get the most from it. My online course is not designed to be difficult, but some concepts may require time to consider before moving on to the next lesson. Until now, we've all been self-taught at playing slots. We've done the best we could without any help getting started at slots, and this online course is my attempt to fix that unfortunate long-occurring circumstance. It's also a beta test version discounted over 50% off from the updated and improved non-beta version soon to be released, when I'll raise the price to its regular long-term price. So get it now to take advantage of it being $100 off now. The link for registering for my 30-day slots course is courses.professorslots.com. Along with the course are valuable bonuses, especially getting lifetime access, meaning purchasing now saves you $100 off all future updated non-beta improved versions. So sign up now. I wouldn't want you to miss that 50% discount. Here's this episode's slots power tip. Stand in front of your chosen slot machine with your back to it. What do you see? Do you see others looking back at you? If so, good. These are the machines that can give you slightly better odds of winning. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Nebraska. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at professorslots.com/episode 139. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.